Hello explorers, it is with sadness in my heart that I make this video today. This is about my motorized bicycle. Kai is joining us. He's joining us today, eating lots of things, so you'll be hearing lots of chomping and that sound that you just heard. I've had this motorized bicycle for about 4 or 5 months now. I love it. I probably have a couple hundred miles on it. I went on a weekly trip to check dumpsters midweek outside of our normal once a week schedule to get food, pet food, and whatever else I could find. And I have lots of fun stories with this guy, but we're going to have to part ways because it's just not practical anymore. We originally got this motorized bicycle for me to commute to work this summer, but with the pandemic and everything, it looks like my job's going to be closed for most of the summer. But something recently happened where the bike stopped running. I didn't know what it was. I tried everything. I blew out the filter, I changed the spark plug, new fuel, cleaned everything that I possibly could, tightened everything, and it just won't run. So that means it's probably one of the electronic parts. It's probably the magneto, in my opinion. I can't get it to run, and I would need to take it to the person who originally assembled the engine to get it to work again. And I realized that that is not a practical thing to have to do anymore, especially if we're out of town. If we were in Moab like we had planned at this point, then it's not like we're going to be able to drive back to Prescott 300 miles away and get this fixed so I could commute to work. Not practical. So I just wanted to make a video about this thing because I love it a lot. I want to get another one eventually.
It's not going to be that loud.
But for now we have to part ways, and I'm going to be getting a regular bicycle. There's lots of cool features on this thing. It's super customized, so I'll give you a little tour real quick. But before that, let me show you the 2 clips that we have of this thing in action. Did somebody order some wood? He no care. Alrighty, we'll go front to back here. We've got the brakes on the right side and a kill switch. This brake lever hooks up to both front and back brakes simultaneously. Then we've got the throttle here, which applies more. And then we have the front light here by Blitzu, great deal online, waterproof, rechargeable. And then on this side we have the clutch, which can be locked in place by pushing down this if you just want to pedal. So you'll start pedaling, and then once you're up to speed you'll release this, engaging the engine, it'll catch, and then with a little bit of gas you'll get going. Then down here we have this mess of wires, and then the front wheel. And both wheels have been replaced with slime tires because there's goat's heads and spikes everywhere in the Southwest. So you have to be prepared for that. Then we've got our little peanut can right here, which you fill. And this thing really gets amazing gas mileage. It gets about 80 miles to the gallon compared to our truck, which gets around 10 or 11. And then down here we have more electronics and magnetos in this mess down here. And then we've got the entire engine assembly, spark plug right here. And then we have the fuel, which comes down from the peanut can, and you can turn it on or off if you want to. And then this is Bald Parrot. Give Kevin a call if you want him to build you an engine. And then we have the regular gearworks right here for pedaling on the bike. And then right on this other side, you can see it better from this side. So that's why I'm over here. We have a 52-tooth sprocket, which gives the bike significantly more torque, and it allows you to go uphill with it, whereas the original size was about 32-tooth, I believe, and you couldn't get much traction, but it allowed you to go faster. Top speed on this guy right now is about 25 miles per hour on the thinner mixture of gas, which is 32-to-1 two-stroke oil to gasoline. Yeah, you can get about that speed, but uphill you do still have to pedal. But before we had that sprocket on there, it would not go uphill. You had to walk it. Then we have 2 saddlebags back here. Thank you, Evan, for those. They're excellent. And I'll show you guys what I keep in here when I go on trips. In this one, I've got my bike lock, one of them. I always double lock this at least. Then we've got a little rag here because this thing is greasy and oily all the time. Then we've got a bunch of different bungee cords right here. And then we have the lock that actually won't be broken, the U-lock here. I actually carry 2 of these sometimes if I know I'm going into a bad neighborhood where there's a high theft rate. This is the bottom of the U-lock. Then I've got this little doohickey here. It's a carabiner with about 8 feet of rope. I hook this onto the back of the mount right here, and then another biker can hold the rope and I can actually pull them with the bike. It's a little tricky to pull off, but if you got it, you got it. Then I got another rag in here. This one's significantly more oily. Both need to be washed. And this is a cover for an old kickstand. And then there's some documentation in here. I printed out the legal code saying that this thing's legal because a lot of folks tend to get pulled over if they're being annoying about riding them. Then we'll check out the other side over here. I've got a grocery bag. There's 2 actually here. And I take this with me everywhere because, as I mentioned earlier, I go diving with this solo a lot. So I do need to have something to carry the food back in because sometimes it's just loose. And then this is my repair kit, Turkish coffee, courtesy of Evan once again. We'll go over what's in here in a moment because that's probably the most interesting piece. And then I've got some channel locks in here because this thing constantly rattles itself loose. Then we've got some 2-stroke oil in here. And I keep this with me just in case something happens and I need to mix more gas. I usually carry about a gallon of gas. Back here, this is a 2-gallon tank, but as it heats up and stays in the sun, the vapors expand as gasoline does. And so I like to leave quite an extra bit of room. If you listen closely, you'll hear it hiss. And you can see it's kind of puffed out there. So I just don't want too much pressure built up in there, so that's why I only use about half of that. And then lastly in here we have my screwdriver and a snack. Always carry a snack with you. I passed the camera off to Casey. This screwdriver I take with me because it has so many different combinations and things, because there's all sorts of different screws and assemblies on here. Bro, please. That need different types of bits to use. So this thing is great. It's compact, and I think it's a little bit more useful than a multi-tool, at least in the screwdriver sense. And I also carry the channel locks as pliers as well as another set of pliers, so you don't really need a multi-tool with this. Onto the main toolkit. This is probably about 4 or 5 pounds. We've got a ratchet on the front here. You'll see what that's for in a moment. Then we've got an extra bungee cord holding the whole thing together. Laser Baba, that was my nickname in high school. But that bungee cord, as well as the other bungee cords, I use to hold things, extra things onto the back rack of the bike in case I find something huge that I want, or like a whole box in the dumpster, or most commonly a big bag of dog food. We've got another set of pliers here to use in conjunction with the channel locks because often you have to rotate in opposite directions. And then we've got this guy right here. It's used for this, the kickstand right here. This is probably the 4th kickstand that I've installed here. I tried a V-shaped and a U-shaped kickstand for center and it did not work. But even this one is pretty tight on here. It rubs up against the the pedal. Kind of have to push it past, but I'm not going to hit it too hard because my dog's right there. But but it works. The bike's probably 60 to 70 pounds, so you definitely need something strong. This one's steel and it has some plastic at the bottom, which isn't the best, but I've definitely broken my fair share of these on this bicycle alone. And you can see another perspective of the 52 tooth sprocket right here and the chain going up, and then there's a chain guard here. If y'all are building one of these, make sure to put a chain guard on there because your leg is right next to this, and if you have leg hair longer than a centimeter, it's absolutely going to get caught. You're going to get burned and you're going to get cut and you might crash and die. So install a chain guard. So I've got this Allen key here for that. Then I've got these tire levers in case something happens, which is kind of ironic because I don't have a spare tire in my kit. I used to, but I ended up using it, but I should really replace that. Next, I've got this all-purpose Huffy repair tool for bikes. It has all these different sizes. You may be wondering why I have this Allen key as well as this Allen key, and that's because much like a multi-tool, if you have something with a bunch of different pieces strapped onto it, you're not going to be able to get a lot of torque. You don't need a lot of torque to tighten this on as tightly as possible. And this just kind of rotates. There's no locking position really, so it can be very difficult to actually get this to tighten to the position that you need your thing tightened to. I also love this kit because it comes with a mini ratchet right here, and it has these little sockets for it that just clip on. I don't have any pieces this size on this bike. I think even this piece right here is a little bit too small for this, or too big for this socket. But I really love the utility of this. It's so cute and it fits right in there. And it also has what I think is a spare tire lever. I'm not sure exactly what that is. And it also has a screwdriver. So this is kind of like the multi-tool for bikers that aren't that serious about biking. But nonetheless, I like to have it in my kit anyway because everyone knows when things go wrong, you need to find creative solutions with what you have, and the more you have, the better solutions you're going to be able to find. Here I have a spark plug socket in case I need to change the spark plug on the road. I do carry an extra spark plug. I just changed this to see if that would fix the bike, so this is actually my extra spark plug right here, and that'll just fit right on there. And the reason we have a special one here is because it has this rubber grip inside there. It's probably a little too dark to see, but this is what actually grips the top of this and allows you to pull the spark plug out. It's less important here than it would be in the engine compartment of a car or truck, but they still only make spark plug socket sizes with grips unless you get a full kit that also has the size, which we didn't because we're trying to stay lightweight. And the last thing that I have in my kit is this other socket, which goes to the head gasket bolts on the top of the engine. And you want to keep these tightened. As I mentioned earlier, the bike pretty much rattles itself to death every single time you ride it for more than 2 minutes. So it's important to have all the tools you need to tighten everything, and also to try and streamline what you have. So we have these two sizes, and they both hook into the same ratchet. That way I only have to carry one ratchet with me, which is great. But anyway, I'm very sad to see this guy go, but hopefully we'll be able to do a whole video about the next one that we build together, and it'll be fun. I'm heartbroken, but you know, gotta do what you gotta do. So, see you later. Thanks for watching.